Marco Island. Actually, this is definitely good afternoon.
It's hot.
This is the Good Morning Marco podcast, Marco Island's first, best, and only podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Sullivan.
I'm Jordan Crayley.
And today we have a very special guest with a very special topic.
Hi, my name is Tyler Beck. I'm here to talk about sea turtles on Marco.
Wonderful. I'm so excited because so far, anytime that we've done like we did a burrowing owl episode, which was was that our second episode or our third?
Episode.
Fourth. Second was Ottermount. It was our fourth episode, believe it or not. So we did an episode on burrowing owls, and like we did it from our own research and everything. But I really wanted to make sure that now that nesting season is well underway, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify on the wide, turtle nesting season is well underway. I wanted to make sure that we have someone who's here who can really speak to exactly what are the sea turtles on Marco. What kind of sea turtles do we get? Are there different types of sea turtles? What can people do to help? What all these other things that we're going to get into on this most wonderful episode.
Right after.
I was going to say that.
I know, I wanted to beat you.
Go ahead and pitch it.
Right after a word from our sponsor.
This episode of Good Morning Marco is brought to you by Tyler Buchan of the Golf Group. Located right here on Marco Island, they're your go-to experts for luxury living on Marco Island and beyond. Whether you're looking for a waterfront home with golf access, a condo with stunning beach views, or a private retreat down on Hideaway Beach, Tyler and his team will guide you to your home. Visit thegolfgroup.com to start your search today, or call 239-420-1099. Once again, that number is 239-420-1099. Go to thegolfgroup.com to find out more. Thank you so much to Tyler and his team for sponsoring this episode of Good Morning Marco.
Thank you so much, and also let's get another word from our other sponsor.
Scuba Acting Studio, in conjunction with the Marco YMCA, are now seeking applicants for their theatrical summer camp, Christmas in July. The camp is for kids ages 6 to 13, starting Monday, July 28th at 9 a.m. Rehearsals will run that Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Students will learn all aspects of theater through games and action. You can scan the QR code now to register your child online or register in person at the Marco YMCA. If you have any questions, you can email Gina Cisparo at cisparoacting@gmail.com. The camp will be at the Wesley United Methodist Church, located on South Barfield Drive. Again, Christmas in July Theater Summer Camp from July 28th to August 1st. It's going to be a great time. I've been in plenty of these theater camps myself, and I've directed some over the years, so I think this is a great opportunity, something that you really want to sign your kids up for. So make sure to support Gina and Cisparo Acting Studios and the local YMCA. And a massive thank you once again to Cisparo Acting Studios for sponsoring this episode of Good Morning Marco.
Wow. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring this episode of Good Morning Marco. With that, Tyler,
Yes.
I want to ask you a little bit. How we usually have people start is like an elevator pitch.
Right.
So for you, what I'd like you to do is why should we trust you?
Okay. Yeah. I have been a sea turtle fan my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I was just born in the wrong place for it.
Right.
Alaska has no reptiles, so.
Yeah.
When I ended up down here in Southwest Florida and I heard this is where turtles nest, first I walked in the conservancy and I was like, I want to volunteer. They said they don't. They sent me to Rookery Bay, and I started out as anybody else could. I just showed up wanting to learn more and help out. So I volunteered for several years until they actually asked me if I would be willing to be an intern. So I did an internship with Rookery Bay. My summer job one year was driving a boat from Goodland out to where the domes were at Cape Romano and looking for sea turtle nests all summer long. It was the best summer job I've ever had in my life.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
From there, I got hired by Collier County Parks and Rec. They're the people who have the permit for all the beaches that you can reach by car. So everything on Marco, from Marco all the way up through Barefoot. With the exception of Key Waden Island, that one is covered by the Conservancy of Southwest Florida.
Well, I don't think you can reach Key Waden by car.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. They also have a special permit to do nighttime patrols. So their interns are out there actually watching the mothers come up and nest, taking DNA samples. Sometimes they're throwing temperature gauges into the nest itself to get some data logs. It's pretty cool. I got to assist with that as well a few times. It was amazing.
Cool.
I think it's just so amazing to finally have somebody on the podcast that's going to be able to talk about it. I mean, I always hear people, like over at the Marriott or at the Hilton, and it's like, okay, make sure when you're visiting, you close your blinds by 9, and everybody's like, why do I have to do that? It's my vacation. But I hope people will understand better why it's so important.
It is
go ahead and
so
explain
important.
why it is that people need to keep the lights away.
Turtles have phenomenal vision. They navigate in ways we don't fully understand. A lot of that, we believe, is by starlight, and stars are dim. So the fact that they live out in the open ocean where there is zero artificial lighting whatsoever, and they're using starlight to get around and navigate, speaks a lot to just how detrimental artificial lighting can be. Any light source that pulls them away from the water, whether they're an adult or a baby, it's making them expend energy.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it's lessening their chance of survival. Here on Marco, we have, you guys know what it's like. These condos run the entire length of the beach. And turtles have been coming here long before humans.
Oh, yeah.
But anything we can do to keep the beach dark will help protect them and keep them going to the water where they're supposed to go.
If you could, just for those who are unfamiliar, run through what the life cycle of a sea turtle might look like. Like from, we have an argument between some ravens and seabirds over here. But if you could run through from hatching to going out to coming back and all that, because which also to peel back the curtain a little bit, Tyler and I actually met at Marco Nature Night, which we did an episode about with David Leeser. So wouldn't that have been a great reason for you to come to that? So you should come next year. Anyway, with that.
Always a good time. This nest right here next to us is going to have anywhere between 70 and 120 eggs in it on average. They're typically buried about 18 inches down, and the chamber itself is sort of upside down light bulb shaped.
And then this is a loggerhead nest as well, right?
Yeah. I didn't see it come in, but over 99% of the nests on Marco Island are loggerheads.
Right.
The only greens we've had in the last several years that I got to see were about a mile that way. So this side, but again, really the only way you can tell is by the tracks they leave. Each different species leaves different tracks, and by now these tracks are long gone, so all I'm doing is kind of assuming it's loggerhead, because most of them are. Once they hatch out, typically they're in the sand for 55 to 60 days. It's a little temperature dependent, but once they hatch out, it is almost always at night, and ideally they beeline for the Gulf right there.
Right.
They're about 3 inches long when they're born, so bite-sized for so many things.
Yeah.
And they must be delicious because so many things like to eat them. In between here in the water, we've got raccoons, armadillos, coyotes, ghost crabs, fire ants. These are all potential predators. Once they hit the water, anything goes. And I didn't even mention all the different shorebirds that like to eat turtles as well.
Yeah. Now, I noticed this is sort of new, putting the cages on top. What are the cages for in
That's
particular?
to protect the hatchlings from predators that can dig.
Yeah.
That's something that we actually just started doing in the last couple of years. Prior to that, we never had an issue with digging predators on Marco, and so we didn't do this. And then 2 years ago, we started losing nests to coyotes.
Yeah.
And one night they hit 5 different nests. So now they have to cage as well as put up the stakes. Because turtle eggs, once they know where they're at, raccoons and coyotes and armadillos especially will dig them up. Once they make it to the water, if they don't get eaten, they just keep going till they hit the Gulf Stream. Yeah. The babies are born with a yolk sac, and they'll feed off that for 5-7 days, a week or so. Once they catch the Gulf Stream, they get swept out into the Atlantic, where they will hang out in the Sargasso Sea, which is a place they can hide, a place they can feed and grow up, and they'll spend about 30 years out there before they come back into the areas where they were born to carry on, the population.
How long do loggerheads live?
Loggerheads can make it around 75-ish years. All the different sea turtle species have different life expectancies. None of them are like the centuries that you hear about with like the Galapagos tortoises, yeah. Correct. And anymore, it's rare that you find an old sea turtle with the pollution issues and the environmental problems. It's rare, but I mean, that's why we're hoping to protect as many nests as we can. With regards to loggerheads specifically, they primarily nest in 2 locations in the world, Florida and the Gulf of Oman in the Middle East. And that's most of the loggerhead population. Florida itself is responsible for, I want to say, around 40 to 50% of the loggerheads in the world. That's one of the reasons that it's such a big deal. Like, these aren't just our turtles. They're half of the world's population. So that's one of the reasons these nests are so important.
That's just fascinating. I mean, I'm not too familiar, but do sea turtles typically just kind of like lay eggs once or every so many years?
It depends on the species. The loggerheads here, they will lay 3 to 5 times in one summer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Typically it's...
I thought it was once a year.
No.
That's wild. Okay.
Yeah, it is. And the amount of energy they put into it is mind-blowing because they aren't land animals.
Right.
Once they get out of the sea, they don't have that water to help, buoy them up. And so they literally are dragging themselves across the sand. And it's exhausting. Like the few daytime nesting mothers that I've come across are so tired by the time I get out there during the morning. Who knows how many hours they've been at it. But like I said, loggerheads will come up. They'll nest 3 to 5 times every 10 to 15 days in a summer. And our nesting season here it's officially from May to October, but the county has people patrolling the beach starting in mid-April.
Okay.
Because they have some early birds.
Do you think they should shift when we officially recognize it? In that case,
I can't hurt. I don't have a lot of data about those 2 weeks in April.
Yeah.
But I mean, as things get warmer and the turtles start showing up earlier, then maybe that's something that should be looked into.
Yeah.
Just have to make sure you have the numbers to back it up.
Yeah.
But it is, with the changing climate, I'm a big fan of the early nesters simply because of hurricane season.
Yeah.
Oh,
If they
so
can
true.
lay and hatch and get out before the hurricanes come in, then that nest is going to make it.
Yeah.
Basically, when a big hurricane comes through, it just wipes the beach clean, and we lose dozens, if not all, of the nests in one go, and that's the end of season.
Yeah. I remember when you presented some facts and figures at the right, looking at 2022 and just the massive drop-off after Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, and it's so clear to see that it's after this date, and that's why. And so, yeah, I'm always more protective of the early nests. Get in here, get it done, and please get out of here before things get catastrophic.
I had no idea. Just run!
Right?
Wow, yeah.
Typically, the loggerheads will take a year off then, so they don't nest every single year.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, keep in mind, we're only talking about the females.
Right.
The males never come back to shore.
Right.
As soon as they hit the water as a 3-inch hatchling, that's it. They're out there for the rest of their lives.
Dang, no, this is, I love this so much. I'm having a...
I want to find the questions that I...
What? Oh,
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
Go ahead. So what do you think is, I know Marco has some of the largest beach, areas where they
huge
could
beach. Yes.
nest, but we don't have many nests compared to other places.
Also true.
Is there anything that people can do to help with, I guess, what can Marco residents and tourists
Yeah.
do to help promote turtles actually laying here?
Well, so it's interesting because, like you said, Marco has the largest stretch of beach in the county with some of the lowest numbers. But if you pop right across the mouth of the Marco River to Keewaydin Island, they have the highest nesting numbers in the whole county, and that that beach is right next door. The only thing that I can see, the biggest difference between Marco Island and Keewaydin has got to be human
Yeah, it's
intervention.
lights as well. Yeah.
Lighting, it's beach parties, it's people walking around. Anything we can do to minimize our own impact on the nesting turtles would be beneficial. No white lights at all of any kind, even if it's just your cell phone. Please don't do that between mid-April and Halloween. And I know it's a long time, but they sell red lights at the Ace Hardware on the island. You can get them anywhere. Blue and white wavelengths tend to be the ones that the turtles react to the strongest. The strongest. The warmer tones, like that's why on the beach at night you'll see a lot of amber lighting, amber and red wavelengths.
Right here at Sunset, I know they've all got like very amber lights for their outdoor seating.
I mean, if you're doing the everything that people tell you to do to take care of the turtle nests and the turtles, then I mean that's all you can do, and I think that's great. I feel like everybody should do their part.
What should somebody do if they come across, like if they happen to be walking the beach at night and they come across a turtle hatching in process?
Whether it's a hatching or a mother laying eggs, keep your distance.
Yeah.
Don't get between them and the water. If it's a nesting mother, stay very far back because she's there to lay eggs. And if you spook her, she'll turn around and head back into the water, whether she's laid or not. And we call that a false crawl. Yeah. Anytime a turtle comes ashore, doesn't lay eggs, and goes back into the water. And the county, they document all of that. The database goes on for decades, so they've been doing a really good job of documenting all this. But keep your distance and enjoy it. It's a very rare occasion. It's magical to see. I've been working with turtles down here, like I said, for almost 10 years. And I've only seen them hatch out at night like 3 times. And I know when they're going to go. Yeah. It's just sometimes you miss it by 5 minutes, and they're quick. They're surprisingly fast.
Well, I remember on 4th of July. Do you want to tell that story?
That was actually, where are we? It was right over there.
Yeah, we're at the main South Beach access, right by the Apollo. So where was it?
It was right in front of the Apollo.
Oh, wow. Okay, so right over there.
So because of the incubation time for the eggs under the sand, typically the start of our hatching season is 4th of July week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, timing-wise, not the best. The last couple years, we've actually had people kind of just sort of supervising whatever nest it could go that week during the fireworks show, because there are 10,000 people and police cars and everything on this beach, and the last thing you want is an endangered or protected species running underneath somebody's tires or through a crowd. And so we've actually had monitors just hanging out at each nest to make sure it's okay. And last year it was last year, right after the fireworks finished.
Thank God it was after the fireworks finished. I couldn't imagine how confused they would be during the fireworks.
I was packing up my beach chair, and I was like, okay, well, we got lucky they didn't hatch. And I just happened to look over, and I was like, oh my gosh.
The ground is moving.
It's starting. And
what does it look like?
It's called a boil, because what you'll see first is just like one or two, like a nose or a flipper, and then the sand will start to move.
Oh, wow.
They make a hole that's about 7-8 inches in diameter. And they all come out, they try to come out in one big go. Yeah. And that's actually, you can hear them moving around. There was a couple pictures in the Coastal Breeze of me with a stethoscope listening to a nest. You can hear them down there kind of getting ready. And once a certain number are there, they hang out just below the surface. They wait for sunset, so it's the temperature drop. And once they think it's dark, they start coming out. By coming out in a big group, the idea is that they overwhelm any predators, kind of like D-Day, except way cuter. And so they're just trying to get to the water as quick as possible.
So with the 4th of July story, I know last year for, I think it was New Year's or something, when they would do fireworks, they didn't do it because of the migratory birds. Do you think they'll go away with doing the fireworks for 4th of July because of the turtles?
I don't know. That is a great question. The turtle nesting numbers in the last several years have been doing okay. I'm thinking prior to COVID. After COVID, there have been some weird years with the hurricanes and the construction projects and whatnot. But and numbers have been steadily increasing. Like if you look at the big picture, they're going up. I'm not sure how people would react to no fireworks show on 4th of July. I wouldn't mind there being a little more awareness on the beach, simply because when that nest did hatch out, I had a very difficult with both the public and some of the people trying to control the public. It's like, hey, I know your plate's full, but I'm going to add to it. There are 100 baby turtles on the beach now, and we need to protect them as well. And
Thank God this episode's going to come out 2 weeks before 4th of July.
I mean,
a week, I think.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The code enforcement guys in years past have been phenomenal. So there is definitely an effort to work together. But when there are that many human beings in one area, and then you throw in fireworks, and then you throw in lost and elderly people and children,
and drunk people as
and
well,
endangered species, it's a bit of a hassle. But
now, my sister used to work at this restaurant over here.
Okay.
And one time, during sea turtle nesting season, they went out into the parking lot and they in the parking lot.
Oh dear.
So now, I know that means sometimes they go the wrong way.
Yeah.
If, let's say, I'm out here, it's there's nobody else around, no sea turtle experts.
Mm-hmm.
If there are sea turtles coming out of here, they're boiling up, and they start walking into the berm, what should somebody do?
Immediately get in touch with FWC or Marco PD, because they'll reach out to the sea turtle monitors and the environmental specialists, so we can.
I
help
assume
out as
around
well.
hatching time, there's going to be somebody on the beach most nights.
No. So because they're protected species, there are federally issued permits that you have to be on in order to work with these animals, and they're very clear about what you can and can't do and when. And unless things have changed, as far as I know, we're not allowed to do nighttime patrols on Marco Island with the county.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So really, there's no one on the beach at night taking care of the nests. As a private individual that lives here, if you want to go for a walk with your red flashlight and you see sea turtles hatching and you want to call Marco PD or FWC and let them know, that's wonderful, especially if they're going the wrong way.
Yeah.
The lighting issues are real. This end of the beach where we're at is fairly narrow, but the other end by the South Seas Towers, that's 1,500 feet across. And I have tracked baby sea turtles that were laid within 30 feet of the surf that made it all the way up to the South Seas Towers and then fell down a stairwell and were trapped at the bottom. They've gone across tennis courts in what are some of the other buildings there? There's like the Emerald and a few of the other buildings. They'll just keep going. Because these turtles hit the water and have to swim for a week, until they hit the water, they'll keep trying to get into it. So they'll cross Collier Boulevard. I have some buddies on Marco PD actually came out one time. They were playing tennis, and they came running out. They're like, Tyler, we found some baby turtles. What do we do? I was like, where are they at? Let's go. And they helped me collect them all and put them back in the water. So lighting is a big issue. Occasionally in the morning when we're doing patrol, if people don't fill in their holes, their sandcastles, or from their beach umbrellas, we'll find hatchlings in there. Sandcastles are easy. You can look in there and get them out. Unfortunately, usually the shorebirds find them before we do. It turns it into like a candy dish for the shorebirds. The umbrellas, that one's a sad one because a lot of the people that put the umbrellas up will just reuse the hole the next day. And if a hatchling's fallen in there and they don't check, which, you know, a lot of times you don't, then you're just slamming that umbrella right down in the hole on top of it. So at the end of the day, you pull that beach umbrella or any hole that you've made, just fill it in, cover it up, keep the beach flat. That way they don't get trapped on their way out to sea. But really, lighting, keeping the beach flat, and keeping stuff off of it. Yeah. I know that sounds weird to say, but like sea turtles don't have a reverse gear. And so if they come up and you've left your lawn chair here or your umbrella or whatever, and they get stuck trying to get through it, they might die there. And I know that feels like an extreme thing to say, but these animals live in the water and they're reptiles. They can't regulate their body temperature. So if they're still trapped in your beach chair and the sun's up like this, they overheat.
They're going to boil inside their shell. Wow, goodness.
So, as you said, turtles are trying to make it over to the Gulf Stream. Is there anything boaters should be aware of, like when they're maybe fishing at night or going through to kind of steer clear of turtles?
Boat strikes are a definite concern, especially during nesting season. Coming up to nesting season, the turtles are at the surface a lot more than usual because they're mating and that's where they mate. So be very careful, especially in the whole month of April. And then through the summer, just be aware. Don't set the auto and like kind of just zone out. Keep looking for things because they'll pop up quick, take a breath, and go back down.
Yeah.
So fast. And a boat struck mother is always heartbreaking because you can see when they do the necropsy how many hundreds of eggs didn't get laid. And it just breaks your heart. Yeah.
So hypothetically, if someone did hit a turtle, what should they do once they notice?
If you are near it, if you can see it, if you're like, I feel like most boat strikes occur so quickly the boater or the captain doesn't realize it. If you happen to be aware of it and you see it and there is an injured turtle, I believe there is a like FWC approved turtle capture net you can use to try to get it in your boat, but sometimes these animals are so large. I mean, we're talking 300-ish pounds. Trying to wrestle that over the side of the boat with a gaping wound in its shell, it's hard to know where you're doing more harm than good. I have been out on FWC boats where we've tried to rescue turtles in distress that were at the surface, so it is something they will respond to. It's just avoidance is so much better than reacting to an accident. If there's anything that you can do to try to minimize hitting any of the wildlife here, whether they're sea turtles, dolphins, or manatees. Yeah. We have so many amazing animals that are all protected in these very shallow waterways all year round. If you're going to boat around here, you have to be aware. You really, really do.
It's actually truly wild the amount of protected or endangered species that we actually have in the area.
So many.
It's because we've got the burrowing owls, we've got the gopher tortoises, we've got the sea turtles, which, I mean, several species.
We have, so the loggerheads that are the ones that nest here the most. We get a couple greens as well. And like we talked about, once in a blue moon, a leatherback for weird reasons.
Which has a leatherback ever laid on Marco? Or
not to my knowledge. It's Key Waden and north as far as I know. But we also have a sea turtle that doesn't generally nest here that is in our waterways all year round. It's the rarest sea turtle in the world. It's called the Kemp's Ridley. They feed here. They mostly nest on one tiny beach in Mexico. It's part of the reasons they're so endangered. In recent years, they've started branching out. They transplanted a population to an island in Texas, and that seems to be doing well. People in Florida have reported here and there a nest from a Kemp's Ridley, so like one or two at a time. But they feed here all year round. And they like to eat the type of things you find in the backwaters. So you could be in 4 feet of water going through the 10,000 islands, and the rarest sea turtle in the world could pop up right in front of your boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
spectacular.
Which one is that one called?
The Kemp's Ridley. It's also the smallest sea turtle. They average 60 to 100 pounds. Yeah. Yeah, we're really lucky. There's 7 species in the world. Florida's home to 5 of those.
Yeah.
And on our coast, we've got the ones I just mentioned. We don't have hawksbills over here. They get those down in the Keys.
Yeah.
Way more greens and other numbers on the other coast. The only species that Florida doesn't host are the flatback, which is in Australia, and the olive ridley, which is sort of in the area, but for some reason doesn't nest here.
Huh. Okay.
I don't know much about that one.
I would assume you gotta focus on what you got around here. So
Sure.
let's see. Oh, this has been so enlightening. What's something that you maybe we haven't covered yet that you really think that people watching at home should know?
Everybody loves them.
Yeah.
Like, they all tell me how much they love them, and
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. A large percentage of people want to get involved, which I absolutely encourage. It's difficult to get involved in this area, but not impossible.
Right.
You just have to be persistent and let them know that you're. It's not just like, you're not just doing it for Instagram likes. You're doing it because you want to help out. I first started as just a person who wanted to help, volunteering at Rookery Bay. And through years of just keeping at it, eventually it led into those other things. If someone else wants to get involved, that's my best advice. It's difficult to volunteer in this area because of those permitting restrictions. I have heard that on the other coast they have more programs where there's better public outreach and you can do beach walks at night and things like that. I think that sort of educational outreach program here on Marco would be phenomenal. With the interest we get at all these hotels and condos, especially even with like businesses when they're doing their conferences, everybody's interested in the wildlife around here. I think just be aware that this place is home to animals you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned quite a few already. We got alligators out in the 10,000 Islands. We got crocodiles. It's the only place in the world you can find both. There's some cool stuff here.
The skunk ape.
Bald eagles, ospreys, roseate spoonbills. Like, there's a number of really cool animals here.
I didn't know we had roseate spoonbills around here.
Really?
I didn't know that, actually.
Prior to the construction at Tiger Tail,
Uh-huh.
there was a flock of them every morning at sunrise.
Really?
And you could see them there.
Huh.
It's hit or miss now, but yeah,
Well,
that Tiger Tail Lagoon used to be some amazing bird habitat.
so Tiger Tail Beach restoration, since we've brought it up, how has that affected the sea turtle nesting?
Well,
If you can comment on that
the
at all.
first year that they did it was frustrating.
Right.
Because they had a permit to work during nesting season and at night,
Oh, wow.
and they were unsupervised, as far as I know. That means that there was nobody there with the best interests of the animals in mind, making sure they were doing what they were supposed to in order to be working
Right.
on the beach during nesting season
Wow.
and at night. There were a number of
surprising.
incidences that came up, and eventually they did bring in monitors to watch and keep an eye on things to make sure it was done properly. I don't know much more how that developed after that season ended.
What year was that they started?
Let's see, it's 2020, I think 22, I believe.
So
It's off the top of my head, I could be wrong.
So then, do you think post Ian? Right. It was when.
That's right. The Ian was the driving force because
Okay. So do you now? I don't know if this is speculation that you can't necessarily do as a man
Sure.
of science. But do you think the reason that there was such a massive drop off after Ian, do you think it was solely due to the hurricane, or do you think that the tiger tail had a bit to do with it?
I think the biggest, looking only at the numbers, the biggest demonstration of how the restoration affected nesting is the year after.
Okay.
And that year,
So 2023.
our false crawls were through the roof. Marco Nature Night, I had the numbers up on the screen, and we had like 500 something false crawls, and typically
compared to how many?
100 and something nests.
Would it be okay if we could like add that slide into this?
Yeah,
Sure,
if you
sure.
can send me the presentation that you did
I
for
can
Marco
certainly
Nature
do
Night,
that,
since
yeah.
we've been referencing so much of it,
Yeah,
I'd love
yeah.
to put the facts and figures on
Those
the
and those numbers are all from the county, not like data.
Yeah.
So that because of the Florida whole sunshine laws, it's all transparent. So those should be accessible by anybody. But I will absolutely send you what I got.
Yes, please.
Yeah, after the construction, our false crawls skyrocketed. It was heartbreaking because I had mentioned that they're coming up 2 nests, and if they get spooked, they won't. Now they can only hold it for so long. Like, the eggs have to come out, and if they can't do it on the beach, they'll do it in the water, and then that whole clutch is gone. It's I've seen 1 or 2 dive videos of people underwater with a turtle, and they're just watching eggs come out of it, and they're like, why are you doing this? And it's timing.
Yeah.
They weren't able to get to the beach lay them when they needed to. So false crawls are frustrating. The equipment on the beach was an issue as well. The dredge pipes that they had were basically barriers that these turtles had to somehow get over. Eventually we were able to work with them and put in ramps in key places so that when they get stuck, they come to a ramp, they can still get over and get back. But honestly, it's frustrating because I feel this is such a well-established nesting island.
Yeah.
Those things should have been discussed and put in place prior to them ever breaking ground.
Yeah,
Like
hindsight shouldn't have measured into it at all.
No,
there should have been a million years worth of foresight put into it.
Proactive instead of reactive, and it was 100% reactive. So, in that regard, I feel like that first year was rough. Since then, they have definitely made an effort to not be on the beach during the nesting season, which is very important. As far as what they're doing down there goes, I mean, you had mentioned how big this nesting beach is for the turtles, and they took out 6 acres of land. So I don't see how taking beach away is going to increase.
What was the purpose of that? Do you know? Because I personally don't.
The reason that was given way back before it started was that the Tiger Tail Lagoon was dirty.
Right.
It was stagnant water. It was a dying ecosystem, according to the people in charge of the project, and it needed better flow. So they were mobbing up, getting ready, prepping to put things out on the beach when Ian hit, and Ian opened up the lagoon. Ian opened up that big cut,
Right,
and
yeah.
suddenly there was flow. Now,
And they kept going.
yes. Yes. If flow's the reason, why was the first thing they did to plug that gap and then dig out somewhere else? They had to plug the gap to get their equipment to the end of the beach to do their project. But if the hole's
So
there
it was wake up and take
has,
your sleeping pill.
if the flow's been established, why are we plugging it up to dig something
You gotta
else?
see if we can get into contact with somebody.
If you're out there and you're watching.
Yeah, I know Tom has some contacts, so we'll have to, because I know he did a huge flyover and he had to get permission from them. For
Yeah.
That. So maybe I could talk to somebody from Beach and Coastal.
That'd be
from
cool.
the Beach and Coastal.
A lot of that had to do with protecting the homes at Hideaway because apparently that beach was getting washed away,
Right.
and that's what protects the houses. One thing that anyone who lives here knows with regards to beach and vegetation is that the mangrove trees and the sand dunes and the sea oats, which are also all protected, protect us in return.
Right.
First thing they did when they broke ground was ripped out every piece of vegetation, mangrove trees, and everything, and they're not putting it back. And that's why every year they have to come put more sand there because there's nothing holding it in place. With regards to other nesting here and that topic, if you're following it up, Brittany Piersma is the Audubon biologist. She also does the burrowing owls.
Yes, we actually had a contact with her, and we were supposed to, she was one of our other options for our was it called? The day about the Earth Day.
Earth Day. Okay.
Yeah. I was going to say the
day
day about the
Earth.
planet.
Yeah. No, she has been monitoring bird populations on Tigertail for years, from prior to the construction through the project and on to today. So she would be able to tell you in far greater detail with numbers.
This is Brittany from Owl Watch.
Yeah, Brittany Piersma.
Okay, yeah.
Just how it's affected the birds. That lagoon, though, on the other side of the Tigertail Beach, used to be home to, like, there were manatees hanging out there all the time. The mud flats were rich in biodiversity. Horseshoe crabs could be found there, as well as their babies. It was like a little nursery. Now that there's nothing holding the sand in place, every time there's a storm, it covers all that up, so seagrass won't grow. All the biodiversity's gone. It's just...
Yeah, and then it probably also makes it far more confusing for the turtles coming back.
Because the beach is so different in
they're
shape.
like, wait, was this where I... Because they come back to where they hatched, right?
They do. And, I mean, they do return to where they hatched from. Living here, we see how much the islands change just in like every year to year.
Oh, yeah.
So they must be willing to put up with some difference there.
Right. Yeah.
But when you come back and there's a 4-foot berm because somebody needs to run heavy equipment back and forth and they can't climb that's what's going to cause a false crawl. That's going to cause them to drop their eggs somewhere else.
I think we've pretty much covered everything. I mean, everything I was thinking about asking questions, you naturally brought up, so.
Love turtles. I've been for a long time.
Yeah.
And like I said, people come up and ask questions on the beach all the time. If we'd had a nighttime release, I would usually try to find people that were using flashlights and say, hey, if you turn your light off, you can help watch us release baby sea turtles. But if you don't turn it off, you can't help. There's a teachable moment. There you've got a lesson. Hopefully they'll never do that again.
Yeah. Well, so if you were to offer some advice to anybody watching about just anything in general to do with sea turtles, just sort of as actually, I remembered the question I was going to ask before.
Excellent.
All right. So we interviewed a gentleman from a company that he started called Down Goes Iguana. Have you heard of Marco Island's Iguana Hunter?
I have seen some some stuff on social media.
Do you have any info on if iguanas are harming sea turtle nests?
As I understand it, the iguana species that we have on Marco are vegetarian. Mm-hmm. So that means they're not going to go after our native anole species, the frogs that we've got, or the sea turtles. They burrow... they don't really burrow in beach areas. I mean, I've seen them in the dunes. I've seen their tracks, but their holes are not where sea turtles would be nesting. I'd be very surprised if they had any effect on the nesting sea turtles at all. To my knowledge, they don't, but I could be wrong.
I wanted to make sure because we asked John on that episode, and I think, if I remember correctly, he said you'd probably have to ask us.
I believe.
Yeah, so
is a species of iguana that is like omnivorous. Mm-hmm. We don't have them here.
I think they have been. There have been some observed on Marco eating eggs, like not specifically sea turtle eggs, but specifically burrowing owl eggs.
Okay.
Like messing with the burrowing owl.
And if they're going after the burrowing owls, they're probably going after the gopher tortoises as well.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, Brittany was telling, because tortoises and the burrowing owls are her specialty. She was telling me about this iguana species that we don't have, that she's terrified of getting, because that would just be terrible. But no, the animals, honestly, Marco turtles have had it really good for a long time. It's just within the last 2-3 years that coyotes have decided how they learned where the eggs are and how to go after them.
Now, would you be in support of any sort of like coyote relocation from Marco to try and get them off the island to protect what little nests we do?
I feel like it would not be successful. They swim.
Yeah.
I've seen coyotes swimming from island to island while doing eco tours. They are on all of the islands out here. If we relocate them somewhere else, they'll come back. They were here before we were. They're going to be here after us. Like, it's a little extra work to put a cage over the nest, but it's not the end of the world. They do it on every other. They do that in the 10,000 islands. They have to cage them. Like 100% of the nests have to be caged because of raccoons. Keewaydin has to be caged as well because of the wild boars. At least it used to be the wild boars. I don't know if they still are.
I know. I just saw a pack of wild boar on Collier.
What?
Wow, that's
Yeah.
random.
I saw a pack of juvenile wild boar.
Huh.
Because there was like 10 to 15 of them. Yeah, which I didn't know what they were at first.
Yeah.
So I pull out ChatGPT and I'm just like, I am in Southwest Florida and driving on a fairly developed road next to Rookery Bay, and I just saw 10 to 15 small brown quadrupeds. What were they? And it goes through, it's like, were they deer? I'm like, they were not deer. I can tell you that. It's like, it was probably pigs. And I'm like,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the first time I ever saw it. I immediately called like the Rookery Bay and I was like, I don't know if y'all
Yeah.
are aware.
Yeah.
I just saw like 10 to 15 hogs because I know that they can be like really aggressive.
And at Keewaydin, back when I was an intern, the hogs had adapted to the caging process so well that they were targeting cages.
Really?
And a big hog can get through that. Like, the zip ties won't stop it. While I was there, they do practice cages for the interns, and they like have them set up next to their little dormitory. And one of them was just trashed, and so the hogs saw the cage. It was set up where there were no eggs.
They recognize that the
that's
cage
usually,
means that there's eggs.
Yep. So
crazy.
when it
This
gets
is why Picayune Strand is such a scary story.
when it gets to that degree,
Yeah.
that's when FWC or Rookery Bay will bring in some expert to
Make some bacon.
population control.
Yeah.
Just because at that point you're like, okay,
Yeah, it's like, all right, you guys don't need to be here anymore.
one of these is a protected species and the other is not. It's
Yeah,
a pretty
yeah.
easy choice. What's really funny is when the baby burrowing owls start flying the same time as the shorebirds are hatching out, because the owls will come over going after whatever it is they can catch, and those little flightless shorebirds, which are also protected, are easy pickings. And then you've got the biologists on like, your animal did that. Well, yours needs to eat, and But again, I'll let Brittany.
That must
talk about
be how it feels to be a conservationist in Africa.
Right.
Because like everything over there is endangered as well, and everything wants to eat each other, especially Australia. But
Or South America, where they have jaguars feeding on sea turtles that are coming up to nest.
oh,
Yeah, you're like, oh no, you're both protected. What do we do? Yeah,
set out a stake deep in the jungle. That's what you do.
right. Yeah.
Wow.
So on a much smaller scale, we have that with the owls and the shorebirds.
Anything else sea turtle related that you think people should know?
Just keep the beach dark, keep it flat, fill in your holes, and keep it clean. Pick up trash, always pick up garbage out of the ocean. But make sure you take your folding chairs and your beach umbrellas and stuff. The morning after 4th of July on Marco Island is a nightmare on this beach. People will leave like just things that you see behind me. They'll just grab
leave
their
whole
shoes
chairs,
and walk
umbrellas,
away
yeah.
with picnic tables and pavilions and everything. Just walk away, and you're like, it takes hours to clean that up. Meanwhile, the turtles are trying to get around them to nest, and that's when the babies start hatching. So if we could keep the beach clean and dark and flat, that's really what's most important.
I just thought of another question.
Okay, cool. I'm okay with this episode going long because this has been like, this is my favorite since Iguana. So.
So I've heard and seen some stuff on Nextdoor. I know a lot of places use what are they, like the agave straws?
Plastic.
And so I was wondering, because I think the Marriott is working on trying to not use straws anymore.
I think that's...
Other places are saying that even McDonald's on the island should implement like paper straws. What's your take on that on Marco Island?
I think that if you live on an island, you should do everything possible to eliminate plastic waste. there's water around every part of this land, and anytime it rains, everything on land goes into the water. I stopped at an airport bar in the Cleveland airport one time where I was traveling, and my drink came with a biodegradable non-plastic straw, and I'm like, Cleveland can do this. Why can't Marco Island?
Yeah. They are landlocked.
They are.
Well, unless you count the lakes, but
yeah, like this is where the sea turtles live. This is where the dolphins are at. This is where manatees and shorebirds and everything live, and we can't find some better way to do things that isn't plastic.
So when it comes to, because I know that, of course, like the plastic rings that go around like 6-packs are like right out, like
Yeah, those are bad.
should never even existed in the first place, like used cardboard. So truly, how detriment are plastic straws? Because I remember like there was that whole thing a few years ago where I saw everywhere people saying save the turtles and specifically wanting to ban plastic straw.
That video of the turtle that had a straw in its nostril, and is that what you're talking about?
I didn't remember seeing that in particular, but I guess the fallout from that got much more popular than it.
I mean, to be honest, all plastic is bad, and I don't mean just bad, like it's catastrophic.
Yeah.
If I was to pick on one thing in particular, I would say shopping bags.
Really?
Yeah, the plastic shopping bags, because in the water they look like jellyfish, and jellyfish are a main source of food for many sea turtle species. It's not uncommon to be out there on a boat, pick up a bag in the water, and see bite marks out of it from sea turtles. I read a paper where they were doing a study on sea turtle ingestion of plastic, and they found that if a sea turtle ingests, and if you need a source on this, it'll take some digging to find, but the gist of it was that once a sea turtle ingests plastic, its survival rate goes down 50%.
Wow.
And of the sea turtles that they surveyed, all of them had plastic in them. So...
Well, we have plastic in our brains now.
Exactly. It's everywhere, so anything we can do to get away from that is going to be huge.
Okay.
Yeah, plastic bags, as a diver, they look like jellyfish. Like, I'm a person, I know it's not a jellyfish, but they still look... I get it.
With that,
yeah,
Tyler, where can they find you? If you want to shout anything out in particular, that anywhere you can be followed, or if you want to shout out any
I'm not
specific
super active on social media so much now that I'm gone back to teaching, but my Instagram and TikTok, I'm the Wandering Alaskan. I got a lot of dive videos and sea turtle stuff there. That's pretty neat. One of my favorite videos, I found a can on the beach a couple of years ago when I was doing an eco tour, and I picked it up to throw it away and just happened to notice inside was covered in octopus eggs.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, well, this doesn't belong on the beach. And I went to throw it in the water, the waves pushed it back, and I thought, okay. So I went back to our tour boat and I put it in a bucket of water, and I told the captain, hey, we got to dump this over the side when we get offshore. And I went back to go to carry on with my tour, and he calls me, goes, dude, it's hatching right now. And so I ran back to the boat, and there are these, tiny octopus coming out of this beer can all over the inside of this bucket. And I think I got like 700,000 views or something on that on TikTok. So that's probably my coolest
video. I might have
video.
seen that. That sounds familiar.
Maybe. I don't know. I got some whale shark videos in there from diving here in Naples.
No way.
Yeah. One of my buddies runs a charter offshore Naples. Bill DeAntoine took me out on his boat. And we were spearfishing. We went out to the Baja California wreck. It's about 60 miles offshore. Jumped in, and there was a whale shark under our boat. And I was like, I came right back up. I was like, Bill, give me the camera. So we did 2 full tanks. I got tons of pictures and video. They pass through a couple times a year. I'm guessing it's migration.
Please take me with you. It's a dream.
November and I think like March are when they pass through. But just talk to the charter captains and word of mouth. It's the best way I found. Anyway,
we'll ask when we go to
much,
interview Scuba Marco. So that's going to be coming up
they
pretty
might
soon.
know.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
With that, thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
I can help out.
Of course.
Get the word out.
Friend of the podcast.
Fantastic.
We might even have to ask you back next year to talk again. So
sure.
Very, very, very happy with this episode.
And as far as contacts and other resources go, like I said, Brittany Piersma, shorebirds, sea turtle, gopher tortoises and burrowing owls. Pat O'Donnell does fisheries. He's the shark scientist.
Yeah.
Man's fearless, first of all.
Which, after next week's episode, we might have to talk to him.
Yeah. And he's an avid fisherman.
Yeah.
So both loves the environment and enjoys it. So those would be my two hot tips for you guys for more people.
Cool.
Thank you, Tyler.
No problem.
Jordan, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at jgcraley03, the.marco.current, and Current Creations FL. If you're looking for any social media marketing, managing, or promotion, you can find me at my website at currentcreationsfl.com. And Ryan, where can they find you?
You can find me at ryanmsullivan.com. That's RyanMsullivan.com. You can find my book there as well, which might... one of the stories that was told about the pigs getting into the cage on this podcast episode, you might find something familiar in that book. Anyway, with that being said, you could also find me on Instagram at RealRyanSullivan. That's REAL Ryan Sullivan. And then you could also go to goodmorningmarco.com to stay up to date with everything that we're doing here at Good Morning Marco. You can also follow us at Good Morning Marco Pod, both on Facebook and on Instagram. As well, make sure that you are liking the videos and rating us 5 stars on Spotify and on all audio platforms, as well as making sure that you're subscribing on YouTube. We just recently surpassed the 200 mark on YouTube, and I really think that we could hit 1,000 by the end of this year, which also... Coming up, we have our 1-year party. That's in less than a month at time of upload, I believe.
Yes, that's going to be on July 19th, 3 to 9 at Marco Island Cava Culture.
That will be a wonderful time, so come and join us there. Where else would it be other than Cava Culture? Also, before we finish this episode, we cannot help but thank one of our wonderful sponsors for this episode of Good Morning Marco.
This episode of Good Morning Marco is brought to you by Tyler Buchan of the Golf Group. Located right here on Marco Island, they're your go-to experts for luxury living on Marco Island and beyond. Whether you're looking for a waterfront home with golf access, a condo with stunning beach views, or a private retreat down on Hideaway Beach, Tyler and his team will guide you to your home. Visit thegolfgroup.com to start your search today, or call 239-420-1099. Once again, that number is 239-420-1099. Go to thegolfgroup.com to find out more. Thank you so much to Tyler and his team for sponsoring this episode of Good Morning Marco.
Thank you so much. And also, we have another sponsor this episode, so let's take it from there.
Sparrow Acting Studio, in conjunction with the Marco YMCA, are now seeking applicants for their theatrical summer camp, Christmas in July. The camp is for kids ages 6 to 13, starting Monday, July 28th at 9 a.m. Rehearsals will run that Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Students will learn all aspects of theater through games and action. You can scan the QR code now to register your child online or register in person at the Marco YMCA. If you have any questions, you can email Gina Cesparro at cesparroacting@gmail.com. The camp will be at the Wesley United Methodist Church, located on South Barfield Drive. Again, Christmas in July Theater Summer Camp from July 28th to August 1st. It's going to be a great time. I've been in plenty of these theater camps myself, and I've directed some over the years, so I think this is a great opportunity, something that you really want to sign your kids up for. So make sure to support Gina and Sparrow Acting Studios and the local YMCA. And a massive thank you once again to Sparrow Acting Studios for sponsoring this episode of Good Morning Marco.
All right, thank you all so much for sponsoring this episode of Good Morning Marco and all the episodes that y'all sponsor of Good Morning Marco. You really do help us get the word out there about stuff like this. We could not do it without you. We could not do it without all of our listeners of the podcast. So just a very extra special thank you to you all. Once again, Ty, thank you so much for coming out here today. Thank you for sitting with us in the sun for a little bit. I know that you probably don't mind, as this is like your thing.
It is nice. I don't like the cold.
Yeah.
So, but no, I'm always happy.
Left that life behind with Alaska.
Exactly. Been there, done that. I'm here for a reason.
Cool.
No, I'm always happy to help get the word out about turtles. Thank you.
Cool. I just realized we didn't even ask any rapid fire questions.
Oh, rapid fire. I mean,
We could
whatever.
rapid fire.
Well, we could ask like 2 maybe before we finish. This could be bonus content at the end of the episode.
Okay.
Everyone thinks it's over,
Pew,
but
pew,
then it
pew,
keeps going.
bonus.
Edit it in, splice it,
It's like a
whatever.
Marvel movie.
Yeah, no, it's an end credit
Oh,
scene.
there we go.
End credit scene.
Excellent.
Coffee or tea?
Ooh, I used to be very much a tea drinker. However, I have, as I've gotten older, coffee. More and more coffee.
And then we also realized when we took a break to make sure that the cameras were still recording that you were also a fan of kava.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to try it when I was in Fiji. There they don't do any additives, so it's a little.
Yeah, you don't
Tastes
get
like-
the cookie butter creamer like we do.
It's like drinking out of a puddle.
Oh yeah.
It's,
Oh yeah.
But you still have the effects, and it was the whole tribal the experience was amazing. Yep.
Yeah.
I think we'll do 4 rapid fire questions.
Sure.
I don't know if this is a weird one, so if it's weird, we can like cut it. But if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation.
Ooh.
Not weird at all.
Why teleportation in particular?
That would be like if I wanted, because I've traveled so much, if I wanted to go visit friends overseas for a baby shower or just a Friday night dinner, I'd snap my fingers and go.
There you go.
I'd already have like a business set up. I'd be a courier. You want me to try to just like deliver something anywhere in the world, $1,000 a gram or whatever, however much,
And then you could also be in, I don't know, Tennessee, and then someone says, "Hey, there's a sea turtle hatching on the beach right now," and then you're like, "Okay."
You'd be open to do anything you want.
Yeah.
Honestly.
See, the teleportation is a great one because I have a cheating answer. I always say shape-shifting. Because
Okay.
shape-shifting is my favorite because you get all the other good ones. You get invisibility.
Okay.
You get flying.
Yeah.
And, of course, like literally you could be a fly on a wall anywhere. You could
Yeah.
grow wings if you wanted to. You could look like anyone else. So it's kind of like the best of like multiple worlds.
Yeah.
And then also I wouldn't have to diet. I could eat however I wanted.
With my kids, because I'm teaching English now.
Yeah.
The what's your favorite superpower thing? Everybody knows it. So I did a writing prompt. It was, I want you to come up with a useless superpower, like the worst one you can think of, and it was fascinating the things they thought up.
Any examples?
One was the ability to fly, but only while you're inside an airplane that is also actively flying. Like as soon as it lands, you're done. You can just up and down the aisles. That's all
Yep.
you can do.
That reminds me, there's a YouTuber that I watch called Quentin Reviews.
Yeah.
I'll link his favorite video of mine in the description. It is a 42-hour video on the history of the Beverly Hillbillies. I watched the whole
intense.
thing over the course of about 3 weeks. This is why I get upset when people complain that our content is too long, because that's what I watch. So,
Another one they came up with was you're the world's fastest at folding dirty laundry. Only dirty. I was like, you are a diabolical
Yeah.
genius.
so the one that this
messed up.
There was one very similar to that where they did the League of Extraordinarily Bad Superheroes or something like that, and my favorite one was Duplication Man.
Yeah.
Who he can create a perfect duplicate of himself, and the original dies less than 10 seconds later. So you can make an exact copy of yourself. He's like duplicates himself, and then the original just falls straight over.
Oh.
So yeah. Oh, those are creative. I like those. a
Oh
lot.
yeah, no, my kids are amazing.
All right.
Awesome.
Let's see. Oh, you asked the last one. All right. If you could have lunch with any person, living or dead, we'll say either like a historical figure or celebrity of some sort, who would it be?
Definitely a living. I don't think talking to a corpse would be fun.
Well, we
But-
imagine that
you
they're
mean,
alive.
like, any-
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right,
last episode we had Nikola Tesla and Jesus. So
Jacques Cousteau.
what's that?
Jacques Cousteau. He is the man. He invented the scuba. He and a friend together invented scuba diving as far as what it is now. He invented underwater photography. Like his videos are what got me into this when I was a kid. I would love to sit down and hang out with him.
Cool.
Yeah. David Attenborough's up there as well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, of course. Yeah. There's so many.
I think this might be our final rapid fire.
Final rapid fire. No. Like, what animal do you think will last like way past humans? So like alligators are like dinosaurs, you know? Like, what do you think's next?
Oh man.
Oh, like after we're gone,
Yeah.
who's gonna tough it out and be here the longest?
You know, that's a question people ask. Like I've read other responses to this, and more than a few have said octopus, cephalopods, because they are very.
Horseshoe crabs.
The problem I have with that answer is that their lifespans don't overlap, so there's no ability to pass that knowledge forward.
Oh, okay.
The mother dies as the babies are born, so there's no way for them to learn what their parents knew. So every generation starts over at zero, whereas we have gotten where we are because not only can we pass things on orally, but we've figured out writing.
We don't
and
just
printing.
pass things on genetically, we also pass
Exactly.
things on mimetically. Yeah.
So I don't feel like cephalopods are going to take over as much as I wish they did. Whatever survives us is going to be something that can survive both plastic problem and every other problem that we've created. So honestly, like rats or cockroaches, it's going to be the survivors. Like, I hate to say that, but it's going to be the ones that refuse to die that I think are going to survive.
The ones who will be fine with a total plastic brain and
Yes.
irradiated flesh.
Because of that's unfortunately, if we're gone,
That's
probably what
probably
we're going
why.
to leave behind. Yeah. I would love to say it was monkeys. I think that'd be great. I don't think that we'll leave the planet good enough for them to do anything with.
Maybe something really, really deep down that we haven't actually discovered yet that does not care that we're here or not.
Oh, I mean, anything living around those geothermal vents way down in the ocean, what happens at the surface has zero effect on
Yeah.
them. As far as intelligent life, whales are incredibly smart.
Yeah.
They have a culture, they have a language, they have names. The dolphins around Marco, like people have been studying them for years. Dolphins name themselves. Dolphins talk to each other and use each other's names. They've documented dolphins using a third party's name that isn't present. So like they dish and they talk crap about each other.
I've never heard this before. You're enlightening me. We need to talk to a dolphin scientist next.
Yeah, there's a 4-part documentary on Disney about the culture of whales. And they've found that with sperm whale species, they have not just geographical boundaries, but cultural boundaries where they all communicate in a certain way to their group. And when
They have accents?
encounter their group, like the Caribbean sperm whales meeting the South Atlantic sperm whales, when they encounter each other, the whales themselves can say, even though they're the same species, we're not the same.
Whoa.
We are.
I'm about to go home and watch that.
It's worth checking out. Yeah, pinnipeds, not pinnipeds. But yeah,
That's
whales,
absolutely
dolphins
insane.
are incredible. Things that we've seen dolphins doing just on eco tours out here. It's amazing. I've seen dolphins throwing sticks, playing with sticks, like baby dolphins that are bored. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's a cool place. Cool place to live.
Yeah. Dang, I'm going to do a lot of research later. That's very cool. All right.
Thank you so much, Tyler.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
and thank you
genuinely
for
been the
staying
best
longer, too.
It's
conversation.
fine.
Yeah.
It's summer break, so
Yeah, I guess you don't have much to do right now.
I love that.
Yeah.
So rare. Good luck with your other interviews.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have any other questions or whatever?
Well, let's see. Your episode will be coming out a week before our next episode.
Okay.
So we can always cut this if you don't want to publicly say anything about it. What do you have for us that we should say to the either a question for them or maybe just like a comment or anything along those lines?
That's a good question. Let's see. I feel that as a company that's out enjoying what this island has to offer, the wildlife, the protected species, the amazing things that it has, why do they get so up in arms when people try to help them be more protective of the wild? I mean, the ecotour operators here on the island are very protective of picking up trash and being careful of the dolphins and the manatees because that's their industry.
Yeah.
And so by protecting it, they're helping themselves as well as the environment.
Yeah.
I understand that you're catching sharks, and that's cool, but it is a part of a bigger environment, so why not try to protect that as well? And if someone who is reaching out to you is giving you information that could help you be better,
Why not
a better
listen?
steward, why not listen? Why get confrontational or belligerent and take that to heart? Because, like I said, the paper I linked to him straight up said, catching landing great hammerheads kills them, like an over 90% mortality rate, and I got zero response from that whatsoever. And whether I did or not, I don't even know if you read it. But if you're a shark fisherman, you should know that.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah,
Food for thought.
absolutely.
Food for thought. Thank you very much
No
for
problem, you guys. Thank you for the invite. Had a good time.
Absolutely. Do you want to shout out yourself one more time for anybody who's forgotten since then, about 15 minutes ago?
I'm not super active on social media, but if you want to see some wildlife travel photos and a lot of sea turtles, it's The Wandering Alaskan, all one word. It's both my Instagram and my TikTok. So
Cool.
thank you very much, guys.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Tyler. It's great to have you as an official friend.
Thank you.
And Jordan, you want to do a quick shout out for your stuff one more time?
Pose.
Okay. It's like, okay, fine, don't shout out your business.
Well, you know me personally, then you know where to find me. If you don't, you can go back a couple seconds. But if you would like any marketing, websites, business cards, promotion, social media management, etc., I can do it all. Hit up currentcreationsfl.com. You can send me an email through that. You can find my phone number, all that jazz. And yeah. Ryan, how about you?
RyanMSullivan.com. I already spelled it, and there's a link in the description, so it's all good. And with that, rate the podcast 5 stars and subscribe on YouTube. Very important.
Don't
Very,
forget our
very
party
crucial.
on July 19th.
Don't forget that. And also, you know what? Screw it. We're playing the sponsor reads again.
This episode of Good Morning Marco is brought to you by Tyler Buchan of the Golf Group. Located right here on Marco Island, they're your go-to experts for luxury living on Marco Island and beyond. Whether you're looking for a waterfront home with golf access, a condo with stunning beach views, or a private retreat down on Hideaway Beach, Tyler and his team will guide you to your home. Visit thegolfgroup.com to start your search today, or call 239-420-1099. Once again, that number is 239-420-1099. Go to thegolfgroup.com to find out more. Thank you so much to Tyler and his team for sponsoring this episode of Good Morning Marco.
Sparrow Acting Studio, in conjunction with the Marco YMCA, are now seeking applicants for their theatrical summer camp, Christmas in July. The camp is for kids ages 6 to 13, starting Monday, July 28th at 9 a.m. Rehearsals will run that Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Students will learn all aspects of theater through games and action. You can scan the QR code now to register your child online or register in person at the Marco YMCA. If you have any questions, you can email Gina Cesparro at cesparroacting@gmail.com. The camp will be at the Wesley United Methodist Church, located on South Barfield Drive. Again, Christmas in July Theater Summer Camp from July 28th to August 1st. It's going to be a great time. I've been in plenty of these theater camps myself, and I've directed some over the years, so I think this is a great opportunity, something that you really want to sign your kids up for. So make sure to support Gina and Sesparro Acting Studios and the local YMCA. And a massive thank you once again to Sesparro Acting Studios for sponsoring this episode of Good Morning Marco.
That was all 3 of them in a row. So,
Boom, boom, boom.
yeah, with that, thank you so much for watching. It really does mean the most. And we will see you all in the next one. Bye.